I'm Robert Williams from MetalRules.com, and joining me tonight in San Antonio, Texas is Wolf Hoffmann, guitarist and founding member of ACCEPT. How you doing today, Wolf?
Hey, good to be here. It's finally, after all these years, great to be back.
So this whole momentum that ACCEPT is currently enjoying springs from an impromptu jam session between yourself and Peter Baltes, where you got in touch with Mark Tremonti and asked him to come jam with you. What was it about Mark's performance that day that convinced you he was destined to become the new voice of ACCEPT?
Well, I mean, he just sounded perfect on the old material, you know. We were jamming a bunch of old songs like Flash Rockin' Man and Metal Heart and maybe Balls to the Wall, and he just sounded like he was has been always singing these songs. It didn't sound like, well, there's somebody else or somebody new trying to interpret this stuff. It really felt so comfortable that we felt like if ever there's a person, he's probably the one, you know. And we didn't even look for anybody else after that. We just felt like this feels so natural and so right. This has to work, you know.
So going back several years, the 2005 reunion concerts, after you guys wrapped up those shows, and Udo made it known that he didn't want to go forward with ACCEPT. Why do you think it is so many of your contemporaries in hard rock and heavy metal genres have tried to get a new singer? And, you know, that's obviously not an easy task. Why do you think it worked for you guys? I mean, you guys have almost been universally accepted with Mark and the new album, Blood of the Nations. What were you guys doing right?
Man, it maybe just was, it all fell in place, maybe. I don't honestly know. I mean, it just felt right from the first moment that we met Mark, but this alone in itself doesn't guarantee anything. It needs to be accepted by the fans, and I think the combination of the, you know, the combination of the fact that Mark is the right guy and the record being the way that it is, and, you know, I don't know, maybe it's the right time, right place, right songs at the right time. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not even trying to analyze it, or I'm just taking it as it comes, and I'm very grateful that it happened. But I think that the record has a lot to do with it.
Tell me about the writing process on Blood of the Nations. Did you and Peter have some ideas kicking around, or was it more of a collaborative effort?
No, all the material was brand new. You know, when we met Mark, we didn't have a single lick written or nothing.
Wow.
Because at that point, we didn't even know that we wanted to do ACCEPT. You know, ACCEPT was finished, and we didn't look for anybody. Then we meet Mark, and all of a sudden this idea is born that we want to do something again. And then, of course, we had to. We decided, well, then we need to write new songs. So Peter and I sat down over the few months' time last summer and cranked out riff after riff and song after song. And then Mark came in and wrote all the lyrics to it. But it was pretty much a fun group effort, you know.
Now, speaking of the lyrics, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time your wife hasn't handled the lyrical duties. What did you think about having Mark do that?
Well, we felt like, or especially Gabby felt, and I mean, we all made the decision now that we have somebody who's, you know, is a lyricist and he's a singer, an American English-speaking guy. It only makes more sense to give him a chance to write his own lyrics. I mean, why should we step in and write lyrics for somebody? I mean, us being German and all that. And I mean, we felt it's a good idea to let him try that, and to also express his own thoughts. And because we think of the singer is probably going to do a better performance if he sings his own lyrics. You know what I mean? And I think it worked great because Mark really tried to stay true to what ACCEPT is known for as far as the lyrical content and stuff, and I think he did a really good job.
Is there any special meaning behind the album title, Blood of the Nations?
There is, but I mean, I wouldn't think it's too deep. I mean, we were sort of struggling with what to name this album, the album title. We had song after song, all that was no problem, but when it came time to name the album, we were all going through the song titles and going song by song by song and saying, that doesn't sound too good. And the only one that we kept coming back to was Blood of the Nations, because somehow it sounded ACCEPT and ballsy, you know. Everything else was Teutonic Terror, we consider it, but it's kind of hard to pronounce, and nobody knows what Teutonic really means, and, you know, so we nixed that, and we came back to Blood of the Nations because it sounds strong and powerful, and you can sort of symbolic meaning and stuff, but it's not a concept album or anything. It's really just one of the song titles.
Now, from what I've seen and read in the press, a lot of credit for Blood of the Nations is given to producer Andy Sneap.
Right.
Tell me about recording in England with Andy. What did he bring to the table in terms of modern production techniques and guidance on the new album?
Man, we're so we are so old school. I mean, the last record we really made on tape, you know, in a 24-track studio and all analog. Totally old school, the old-fashioned way. And for us, this was sort of a new experience to work in Pro Tools. I mean, Peter and I, and we all have home studios, and we dabbled around in hard disk recording for a number of years, but never really made an ACCEPT record that way. So it was really cool to work with somebody like Andy, who is so familiar with this stuff that it's like, you know, he doesn't even have to think. It's second nature to him on the technical aspects. And then one of the most valuable contributions from Andy was that he really came early in the process and picked the right songs that he liked the best, you know, out of all the material that we had written. He came in and said, this is more typical ACCEPT in my eyes than this little bit there, you know. And that was really, we're going like, you know, Peter and I were always wondering, why do you like that so much more than this? Oh, because it's more German, you know. I don't know what that means, really, because to me it's all, you know, I've written all of it, and it was fascinating for us to see, you know, from a fan perspective, what it really is that ACCEPT is known for. And once we had a better idea about that, it was really easy to write more songs that way.
So when you say that you don't know what it means to sound German, do you know what it means to sound American?
Well, I have a little bit of an idea about that. You know, there's certain bands that you know, American metal bands like Motley Crue or something, and you know, they sound different from European. Yeah, they totally sound different from Europeans. But what it really is, that's typical ACCEPT, is really hard for us to say.
Yeah.
You know, because it's us. You know, it's almost as hard as if I would ask you, you know, what's so special about yourself? What is? I mean, what's your character? I mean, it's easy for somebody else to see it, but for yourself, it's really hard to say.
Of course.
You know, that's what it's like for us with being German and music. You know, it's hard.
So you guys signed a multi-album deal with Nuclear Blast Records.
Yeah.
How has it been working with that label so far?
Oh, great. I mean, really good so far. I mean, I think they did a fantastic job marketing and promoting the album, and even the album packaging. Everything looks first rate to me, first class. Really love it so far. I mean, it's a brand new relationship. I mean, we just really started a few months back to work with them, so it's kind of early, but so far, right on.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So tell me about any current goals you have in ACCEPT that you're working towards for this coming year.
Well, right now we're on the path of re-establishing ACCEPT. This little tour that we're doing here is really not a proper full-blown tour. We call it the meet and greet tour because it's really what it is. We're really coming back to America to say hey to the fans and to shake hands and to reintroduce us, basically. You know, to say we're really still alive, we're still kicking, and it's really us in person. And then later on next year we will, you know, do a proper tour, I hope. You know, we're planning to do January and February and March. We're going to do Europe, and then we're going to come back to the States and do some more dates next year. But for now, our immediate goal is to just spread the word that we're back and we have a new product, you know, do things like this, interviews, press.
Hell yeah. Well, Wolf, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk metal with me today. It's been an honor. Any last words for your fans watching at home before we wrap this up?
Yeah, man. You know, if you need any more info, go to our website, acceptworldwide.com. Find out the latest tour info there, all the cool videos and all that good stuff. And I hope to see you all on the tour.